Well, hello and welcome to Saturday, May 2nd, 2020, where we are discussing one more time devotions for troubled times as we go through the COVID-19 pandemic. I have been focusing all week on 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 to 4, and I was really looking at what did the Apostle Paul earnestly urge Timothy to do. First of all, make as a highest priority this. And I've been encouraging us to pursue that as well. So as we recap this week, I just thought I would kind of tie it all up. So here we go again. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 to 4. First of all, then, I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. This is good, and it is pleasing in the sight of God our Savior, who desires all people to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. And we know that Jesus is the truth. So as we look at this, there's a purpose for our prayer. There's a purpose behind our prayer. We've been taught that we should have earnest request for a specific need. We should be in communication with God the Father, just practicing his presence and believing that he's there listening and that he would want to speak to us. So we should be listening to him. We've seen the word for intercessions, where we come boldly to the throne of grace, like a little child coming to their father or their mother to ask for something. They're even willing to interrupt the conversation that they're in. They come boldly. And that's the kind of attitude that we're supposed to have as we come to God the Father. And then we've said yesterday with thanksgivings, and how it's so important that we have a heart of gratitude and that we express thanks to God for everything that he has given to us. And this is just hugely important even in a time of difficulty. There's so much, though, that you can be thankful for, and you need to practice that attitude of gratefulness. But there's a purpose behind all that, and we're to pray and to intercede and to do all these things for all people, especially for those who are in leadership over us, for kings and all who are in high positions, for those who are in leadership. We should especially be praying for them and asking that God would be with them so that, and here's the purpose, so that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. You know, one of the things that I wonder is with COVID-19, it's put the brakes on everything. It has slowed our society down. You can go out on the streets. There's less traffic out there. Oh yeah, there are still people in a hurry. There are still people rushing around like chickens with their head cut off. But there's a lot less of them out there. The brakes have been put on, and we can't maintain the shutdown that we're in. I get that. But as Christians, maybe we should really be thinking about how we ought to re-engage and confess to our Father that perhaps we've been over busy and that we haven't really made him our highest priority. Because see, all these prayers are so that we would lead a peaceful and quiet life. I don't know how many of you would characterize your life prior to COVID-19 as quiet and peaceful. I know that mine hasn't always been. And perhaps it's my problem and I'm the one who is really needing this message. But maybe you need to hear it too. And so I'm going to give it to you. And that we live godly and dignified lives in every way. That we are godly and dignified. That God is at the center of everything we do. That we are asking him what he wants and that we're pursuing him. On Wednesday night in the sermon series, I approached the 2 Chronicles 7:14 passage, and I also tied that to Daniel 9 and to Daniel's prayer. And if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and turn from their wicked ways and seek my face, then he will hear, he will forgive, and he will heal. And then I gave an example of that kind of confessional prayer that Daniel did. And, we can ask whether or not that those verses pertain to us in the United States. And at a certain level, they don't. Because Israel was in a specific covenant relationship with God, and God was the God of Israel and the God of that land. And so it doesn't apply in some ways in the same way. But if we come forward to this passage now and we look at it, we see that we are still supposed to be praying for our kings, whether we're in the land of Israel or not. We're supposed to be praying for our kings and leaders and those in authority so that we will have that peaceful, quiet life. And so while we aren't in the same covenant relationship that the nation of Israel was with God, we are in a covenant relationship with God, and it's broader, it's global. God is in the business of taking back the whole world. And so we need to be a people who are striving and praying and struggling to reflect that. And so one other passage that I wanted to end this week on is from Colossians chapter 4, verse 2, where it says, "Continue steadfastly in prayer, being watchful in it with thanksgiving. At the same time, pray also for us that God may open to us a door for the word to declare the mystery of Christ." These are powerful words. As we think about this time, as we think about the pandemic, we really need to be reoriented to realizing that God needs to be first, that he needs first place in our life, and that everything we do should reflect him. That's what it means in the 1 Timothy passage, that we would live a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. That our lives would be completely ordered by God, instead of being ordered by our cultural constructs and all the things that everybody else out there says we have to do. Let's go back to the basics and ask God, what do you want with my life? I believe he wants it to be peaceful and quiet. He wants it to be godly and dignified. And that's what we should be striving for. And I think that's something that we can learn from this COVID-19 pandemic. So God bless you today. May you go forward in earnest prayer, asking God to make himself visible in you and through you and to you, so that he will be glorified and so that other people will come to know Jesus Christ as their Savior and Lord, because that's what it's all about. It's not about all the other stuff we think it is. So God bless you. Have a great day.